here. All right, y'all. Welcome. You're watching Real Talk TV. This is Spanish learning. We are on day 10. And so I was evaluating or reevaluating some things about our learning process. If you are like me and you are learning for the first time, or I wouldn't say the first time, but you're learning for the first time in a long time. Um, I think going to the basics might benefit you more. Let me turn this light on. Hold on. Going back to the basics might help you because I feel like I need the same assistance. So if I come up, it's still glare. If I come up with a structure, that's my goal. That's what I was supposed to do this weekend, but I didn't have a chance. If I come up with a structure, maybe learning won't seem so challenging. And I'm a person, I love to have fun when I'm learning. So, and I love to do different things. I can't do the same thing over and over again. I like to learn it in the most fun way as possible for me. And I wanted to feel like, I don't know, a field trip. So, y'all, I'm also in the process of, and like, I'm doing multiple challenges at once because that's how my brain works. And one of those challenges is weight loss, fitness. So you might, I don't know, I might do some lives actually doing both together. But anyway, I think doing a vlog in the beginning of my lives, kind of like a diary situation, expressing how things are going, challenges that I'm having, and we can discuss challenges that you might be having when it comes to learning Spanish before we actually get started. So I think that might be better. Okay. All right. So the link will always be in the chat for you to come up. Will always, from this day forth, will always be in the chat for you to come up. Because we're gonna kind of talk about what our issues are, what my issues are for now. And as more people come, what our issues might be when it comes to learning a second language, specifically in this case, Spanish. I'm learning Spaniard Spanish, but my goal is to find a way to learn Mexican Spanish. As you can see, I'm repping Mexico today. Um, yeah. So right now, I feel I've talked to people who speak Spanish. Okay, my background in Spanish. I guess I could start there. I was picked on when I was younger because I rolled my R's weird. I love my sister to death, but she was one of the people who picked on me, my older sister. Um, when I got to school, started school, I got picked on for rolling my R's a certain way. And people always thought that I was from somewhere else. Like English was another language that I spoke. Um, and then in middle school, no, high school. High school is when I was introduced to Spanish formally. Um, Before that, I used to love what is it called? Uh, Indian. The language for Indians is two types of languages, but I was attracted to. I think I want to say I can't remember the language. Um, but Spanish in high school, so I took Spanish. Then in college, I took more Spanish classes, and it never, ever, ever, ever stuck. Even though I wanted to learn so bad, it never stuck. So it took me a long time to graduate from college. Throughout that whole period, I was learning Spanish. I failed a class, like failed meaning like I D'd out of it, but it wouldn't count toward my degree. It didn't transfer. But I took the class and it barely passed. I took the intro Spanishes before that. I passed. So like I Spanish 101, I think I'm good. But after that, for some reason, I can't I can't I'm unable to retain the amount of information needed in a way to uh, further my Spanish speaking skills. And then after college, on my own, I um, pursued Spanish learning, joining groups, taking like free classes. Um, Anybody who spoke Spanish, who was a native speaker of Spanish, I, wanted to learn so bad, so much so that I ended up meeting a Spanish person and multiple Spanish people and having intimate relationships with them, like my boyfriend or girlfriend. Um, Still couldn't just I struggled with learning Spanish. So this has been an ongoing attempt for me. And this time I want to get it right. I want to see how far I can go if I really put in the effort. Okay. So that is like the beginning spill. And I hope you have a beginning spill. I want you to think about why it is you want to learn Spanish. What is your background in learning Spanish so that you can start to understand maybe what some weaknesses are, where your strengths are. And my strength is my passion. I am passionate about learning the language, which is why I try not to give up. Um, Being acknowledging that maybe there's some barriers that need to be addressed before you can continue on with learning, so that you can get the best out of what it is you're doing. So y'all, I have been practicing what I learned from the free library, and their online on learning tools. I got a CD that I listen to every day. Most recently, every day. Like I just started doing it every day. Um, and and let me see what else I do. Oh, my children help me. My children speak Spanish. One of my children speaks Spanish, and I think really figuring out what your goal is going to be. Like, where do you want to take this Spanish? Why? Where do you want to go with this Spanish? Why do you want to go there? And for me, I think it's relocation, education. I want to be an educator. in English and in Spanish. Um, I know that Spanish is not like the native language of the indigenous people of the Americas. I understand that. So I would say it's mostly to just kind of open myself up to other languages. This is probably the easiest language to learn, they say. And I think so far it is, but you got to be consistent. Straight up. You got to be consistent. Um, but yeah, what I'm noticing it also is there is a lack of there was a lack of urgency. Like, why do I need to learn this? It's not, I don't need to learn as much Spanish as, let's say, somebody who is, coming to the United States. They need to learn that language right away because when they get here, it's going to be a lot more difficult to navigate, right? Um, and within the culture. So there was no urgency for me to learn Spanish because there was, I'm not going anywhere. I wasn't going anywhere, not doing anything. I'll just have the language. That's it. And so I think also you want to create an urgency. Create an urgency. Plan a trip. Um, set a goal. Set a goal around the urgency of learning Spanish. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I've done. And so this is why I'm now there's an urgency for me. And I think this is pushing me more. That I had set a goal and there's a purpose for that goal. At first, it was to find a man, or female. Listen, I was dating a woman from, where was she from? Honduras. She taught me some Spanish. So yeah, and kind of, not being afraid, like say, you know what? My goal is to meet people who don't speak English. And I know it's gonna be difficult for some people, depending on where you live. Like if you live in a place where most people only speak, uh, your native tongue, yeah, that's gonna be hard. But because we live in the world we live in, you'll find somebody. There's someone, whether you find them online, whether you find them in the tourist area of where you live, or you could find them, anywhere. Like the city I live in, it's a melting pot. Literally the best. I would argue that it's one of the best cities in the United States because it's so diverse. And you can find people in literally every ethnic group, from every continent on this earth who may not speak English or hardly speak English. I love that. I love that. Because it helps recreate and redefine what my city is and what this country is, how it's represented. But also, it will encourage you and push you to learn different languages. I used to do Tai Chi with a Chinese group of older people when I was younger. I would say in my 20s before I had my children. And they helped me learn Chinese, like, basic things in Chinese because they didn't speak any English. And so the only way we could communicate was, very short phrases and words, a little bit of numbers. And And that's how you start. You pay attention to how things are said, and when people are gesturing, body language as it pertains to different sounds and words. So that's what I want you to do for Spanish. And I want us to talk about it. If you're watching this on a replay, I want us to talk about it. And then I want us to learn together. So the rest of this week, we're at Monday. So this week we will be going over letters, sounds, and possibly numbers, depending on how forward we move. I also was realizing that I was stressing myself out because I was learning too fast, because I knew this, I know a little bit because of my past from the back, my background. That's cool. But also kind of always going over the basics. Last video, I think we went over the basics when we went over our ABC, our abecedarios. But we need to always revisit where we were and where we are. And yeah, so we're doing alphabets. I'm going to show you real quick because we got like 3 minutes left or so. I'm going to share my screen. And this is your homework. This is my homework. This is the homework I give my children. Yes, I teach my children. So part of your learning is teaching. Let's see if it's there. No. Oh, pages. There we go. Share. Will it share? Nope. Okay, that's fine. It won't share. I did not set it to share. I wonder if I can put it on. It's okay. I'm going to write it in the chat. So in the chat, and I have a board that I can go up. I can do teach and learn on my board as well. So we have clearly, I'm just typing it in. I'm just typing these in. B, and I want to do this to take myself kind of back. I'm gonna put them all in first. All right. I'm gonna put something. Okay, there we go. A, B, B, C. And remember, the letter C can make K or S. Now we can look up together for some letters, because some letters I just can't remember. We can look up together to figure out what sounds they are supposed to make. Some letters make multiple sounds, just like in your native language. De. De. And you take your tongue, put it at the top of ear. For anybody who is struggling with the letter de, you take your tongue, sit it up there. De. De. And then let it go. De. De. E. E. F. F. Oops. Okay. He. He. In the English language, he is another letter. But it makes the same sound. I mean, it's it's the same letter, but it makes a different sound. But in Spanish, there's an the second sound is really, if you think about it, is the first sound. So the letter you see right there is supposed to represent the sound. H, h, he. But it also can make the g sound. It can make the g sound. And I might be mistaken, so I'm going to look it up, but it may also make the j sound, but I'm going to double check. All right. And so we're looking it up. That makes the hard G sound like g g g g. It can make the when followed by a vowel, but when followed by um most vowels, but when followed by the e vowel or the e vowel or e vowel, it makes a softer sound like j j. So it can make the h, the j, the good sound. And one thing about the Spanish language, it tells you, and we can, start to kind of dissect that as well. As I'm reading, it tells you when the letters will make a certain sound. So, for instance, the he, he, which in English is pronounced the G, but the he is when the he is followed by the e or the e, you pronounce it like a soft H. So Jorge, Jorge, Jorge starts with the letter he, with that soft H, Jorge. Um, but when it is followed by a, o, or u, it has the hard he sound, which becomes, like in English, what we call the G, it becomes that very strong g sound. So you have two completely different sounds shared by, and I thought it was an extra j sound, but it's just, yeah, j sound, but it's just a g sound. And the g you use with the back of your throat. My mouth is open, obviously. Ah, g, g. I can make that sound without closing my mouth. I can make that sound without moving the front part of my mouth. G, g, g. I'm pressing the back of my tongue onto my what is that called? The upper mandible or something. The plate above my on the top plate of my tongue, my mouth. The g. So not all. Let me see. Jorge, we got let me see a word. And we're literally just looking this up together, y'all. Words. Spanish words that start with he. Hard sound. Gato. Gato. Gato is the hard he sound, which technically, if they wanted to, if I don't know what the situation was during the creation of Spanish, but it could have been two separate letters because the h makes a different sound than g. But in this instance, h and g are derivatives of the same letter. And the hard h sound becomes g, creating gato. And in English, that letter is G. Gafas, like glasses, is an example. And then the soft H is, oh no, the hard, another hard H is jugar, to play. Um, and amigo, I didn't even think about that. Amigo is the hard H sound, creating the G sound. Hola, buenos tardes. Sí, buenos tardes, Mr. Urban World. How are you? Mucho gusto. We're learning. We kind of got stuck on good. I dropped the link if you want to come up. I know you said that you speak Spanish already, kind of maybe. Feel free. Oh, gracias. Okay. Okay. Yo también. And so we are just kind of like really dissecting the letters for people who may not understand. Um, and we learn together. Comino por. Okay. Oh, come. Okay, come. I don't know how to say. I'm still learning. So, what are you eating? Can somebody say that in the chat in Spanish as we practicar? Um, so we were doing G or H. Okay, awesome, great. I'll try not to talk too loud, y'all, because I can get when I get excited. So after her, in the English language is so cool. I mean, the Spanish language is so cool because if you are a native English speaker, because it has the same, almost the same letters, just a few added ones. So, but oh, papas fritas. Oh no, papas fritas y pescado. Okay, that sounds delicious, delicioso. If you're like me, you know words, but you don't know how to create sentences. Okay, so after her is let me see, A B C D E F G H. H, it sounds exactly, looks exactly the way it sounds. This is H. H, 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 and say it over and over to yourself. H. H. It looks like an H, right? H. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. E. E. So the I in Spanish makes the E sound, the long E sound. E. Jota. I love Jota. It is not my favorite letter, but it is very close. It's very close to my favorite letter, Jota. And Jota is our J, is our English J. Jota. Ka. Oh, sorry. Jota. Ka. L. So far, it looks like our languages. All we're doing is adding, right? So we know L in English, but in Spanish, it's le. Instead of K, it's ka, ka. And ka, the letter, is exactly the sound that it gives you. Ka, le, l. Jota is complicated because Jota doesn't make Jota as a sound. It makes the kind of it makes kind of like the jaw sound. It could be silent in many cases. An example, I can give you an example. Let me see. Start with J or Jota. I want to say joven, but I can't even remember how to spell that. Let me see. What is going on? Okay, here we go. Jugo. Oh, jugo. Juice. Juguete. Toy. Juguete. You hear, so our in English we got that huh in as H. In Spanish, you have multiple letters that also provide you with that sound. It's like blowing in the wind. Who get there? Who get there? Right? It's almost silent, but not quite. Then you have your ka. Then you have your L. We know the L. It looks the way it sounds. L. L. You play with that tongue. Up. M. And these are the same as English, so these ones shouldn't be difficult. It's just M, and then you add the E sound. M. N. Give me my capital N. Herein lies the tricky part. There is a letter that is very similar to N, and it is Ñ. So you know how in English N or some letters, and in Spanish, some letters give you totally different sounds that probably should be their own letter. In Spanish, it's the opposite for N and Ñ, because you would think N would give you this other sound sometimes. Nope, it has its own letter. Ñ is its own, it holds its own weight, its own standing, because it has this little symbol at the top, little squiggly thing at the top, and I'm going to show you. This is called an accent, I believe. Let me double check. This accent, yep, it says the Spanish letter ñ is an additional letter in the Spanish alphabet, not just N with an accent. It's called ñ. Okay? Ñ. I'm a person, I love history, so you'll hear me probably bring these things up or look more into things. That's how I learn. But let me know how you learn and we can accommodate. All sounds exactly how it sounds, looks exactly how it sounds. All. Pe. Ku. And ku looks. Oops, did I show y'all P? Okay. Pe. Gu looks like it has another letter, like queen. We say k. And then when you add that oo, then it gives you the ku sound. In Spanish, the ku, it has the k sound, but the letter itself has the ku sound in it. So gu, almost like que, but gu, because it opens the door for the gu sound once you add that oo in it. Gu, ere. And this is one R, we would call it, right? Ere. Then we have this double R. And I think that one has an accent as well. I can't put it on here on my computer. Wish I knew how. Let me see if I can try it. Let me see. I don't know how to put that in there. Okay. Ere. And so ere is literally just a stronger, rolling, fancy, feisty R. So instead of ere, it's ere. Ooh, spicy, right? It's just flavor on the letter R. Ese, te, u. I was supposed to be going, y'all, so I gotta hurry up. Ooh, this one is interesting. So this is ve. I'm getting ready to show you. Here go R, R, S, T, U, and then we have B. This letter right here is V. It's the letter, it's equivalent to the letter V in English, but it makes almost a B sound, depending on where you come from. It replaces the other B at the top of the alphabet. But what helps me is I add a little bit of the little bit of the American v in it to help me differentiate. But this is be, be. Okay, this is be. U ve, doble v or uble doble. X. X is one of my favorite letters. We got double B here. We got X, which is X. Y, Y, Y. And I want you to say that one because that one is the most tricky, but it's a simple letter. It's just, it doesn't do much. But the name is probably the trickiest part of the letter. Y, Y, and it makes the E sound. An example of this, I'll put it in. Words with the Spanish Y. Ya, yate, yacer, yagar, yajugar, yagujar, yema, yoke. I didn't know that was yoke. Okay. So it's a very easy y sound. I feel like I've heard it in another way. We can find that out later. But like in English, it makes yo-yo, right? So it makes the y sound. So that should not be unfamiliar to you. And last but definitely not least, Zeta. That is the Spanish language. That is what you should be practicing. I went overtime today. I'm sorry, y'all. But I really wanted y'all to kind of like see exactly what we're working with when we combine these letters, because we're going to be combining them into sounds. And hopefully you guys come for the next part where we combine the consonants with the vowels. Y'all, if y'all don't know what consonants and vowels are, we'll talk about that. And then play with sounds. Even if the sounds don't make real words, I want y'all to play with the sounds. And then we'll move on, go back to the more broader learning through the thing online. But I want this to be a space of us talking about what it is we're struggling with, how to get better, and and not kind of like always remembering the basics. Always remembering the basics. All right, I have to go, but keep practicing, don't give up, keep sharing your thoughts, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.